across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. Get more passionate debate, more outspoken opinion, and more digital debate for the UK. Your voice counts. Get it heard on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
It's a very special Friday here on Talk Radio Drive because I am Dan Wootton in for Eamon Holmes, who has been awarded an OBE today, as we heard on the news. So huge congratulations to Eamon Holmes. Hopefully he's going to secure that interview with Queen Elizabeth II for next week. Right now, I hear there are a few drinks being consumed with some celebrity friends. Now, that would be a party to be at. But don't worry, we're here with all the same mix of debate and news and showbiz over the next 3 hours to see in your weekend. And kicking off with Jilly Cooper, who has infuriated me with her comments about the modern men. So, the modern man. So she says, modern men, they cry too much. They always have beards. But here's the key point. The reason they may be in relationships with men, nothing to do with the sexuality they're born with, simply because they're scared of women. What do you think? Do you agree with Jilly about the modern man? I'd love to hear from you this afternoon. Call me 0344 499 1000, 0344 499 1000. Love to speak to you this afternoon. You can also tweet me, though, via Talk Radio. So just tweet at Talk Radio. Or if you want to send a text message, just text TALK and then your message to 87222. That's 25p per message on top of your standard network rates. We're here on Drive until 7.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
So Jilly Cooper, now I know she's a bit of a national institution and I also understand she is 81 years old. But in a talk at the Hay Festival, the Hay Literary Festival, she has pushed me too far with her comments about the modern man. So this is what she had to say. This is Jilly Cooper on the modern man. Men cry all the time now. The whole time, always crying, and they have beards. She then spoke about a quote-unquote adorable gay friend who lost his partner, and she said he's just started going on the internet now, and he said it is extraordinary. It is all married men wanting to have gay affairs. Do you think they are so terrified of women now that it's safer to go with their own sex? Jilly, this is ridiculous. This is absolute nonsense. This is now 2018, and when it comes to sexuality, the first thing I would say is that we all now know that it is very much a case of nature and not nurture. While people are much more open about sexuality these days, and some people don't like to define themselves, and some people are bisexual, I really don't think being scared of a woman is going to force a red-blooded straight man into the arms of a gay man. I mean, maybe I would wish that would be something that happened more often, but I promise you it doesn't. And at the end of the day, I just feel like it's this type of attitude which actually puts men, especially straight men, in a really difficult position to know their place in society, because you've got movements like Me Too and Time's Up taking over, men being told that it's so important to be a snag. That stands for a sensitive new age guy, you know, in touch with their emotions, able to cry, able to feel things. And then you have people like Jilly Cooper saying, actually, you know what? If you're not masculine enough, it makes you gay. And if you're not masculine enough, it just means that you're scared of women. I'm really outraged about these comments, but what do you think? Has she hit a nerve? Do you maybe agree with Jilly Cooper, who says, actually, you know what? Modern men, far too many beards, far too much crying. And do you think that maybe it is the attitude of some women that does force men or does make men go into a gay relationship? I don't believe that. Personally, I do agree with her that there are a lot of married men seeking relationships with other men, but usually that is because they are very much in the closet. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. Do you agree with Jilly Cooper or do you agree with me here? You can tweet me too at Talk Radio. Text TALK and then your message to 87222. That's 25p per message on top of your network charges. And we're going to go first on this to Mike Buchanan, who is the leader of Justice for Men and Boys. Now, Mike, I hear you're pretty angry about Jilly and these relentless attacks on men.
Yes. I mean, most of her comments were a bit silly. You know, you wonder whether she had an inadvisable second sherry, before lunch.
Well, she is 81, I guess.
But where I think she's absolutely right is that men have become afraid of women, but with very good reason. Any woman can make a false rape
Really? Men are afraid of women these days? Do you agree with Jilly?
I think many are, and with very good reason. I mean, any woman can make a false rape allegation, and a man's identity will be all over the media. His professional and personal life could be over, and while she'll enjoy lifelong anonymity. Women have it in the power to destroy men, and they do so with monotonous regularity.
Okay, so you agree with her on one side, Mike, but tell me this. Yeah. So let me ask, sorry if this is too personal, but are you straight or gay?
Straight.
So you're a straight man.
Yeah.
Would your fear of women cause you to be in a relationship with a man?
Not in a month of Sundays.
Exactly. She's talking rubbish. Sexuality is not determined by your feelings towards a particular member of the opposite sex. It's determined by whether you were born straight, gay, or bisexual.
Agreed. But if you take circumstances where straight sex is not available for men, you will see an increase in homosexuality. So, for example, in prisons, it's a phenomenon that's been known about for a very long time.
This is a controversial view, but I say it all the time. Everyone has a small bit of bisexuality in them somewhere, depending on circumstances. But Jilly is totally wrong when she suggests that a fear of women these days is driving men to becoming gay. That's not why more men are coming out as gay. More men are coming out as gay because more men are now prepared to be honest about their sexuality.
I think that's right. That's exactly right. But I think Jilly Cooper is also alluding to the demonisation of men, which has gone on for at least 40 years, with a never-ending stream of shaming narratives from women. Now, as a class, men have nothing to apologise for, nothing. Without men, all the things we see around us wouldn't exist. Men invented, built and maintained almost everything you see about you as you go about your day. And as some feminists admitted a year or two ago, if women had been in charge of civilizations over the last few thousand years, we'd still be living in mud huts, but the scatter cushions would be amazing.
But Mike, surely you cannot be suggesting that in this society men are at an inherent disadvantage to women. If you look at the statistics, men actually have all of the social advantages in life, even now in 2018.
Dan, in the immortal words of John McEnroe, you cannot be serious. We have we have a conference coming up in July in London, a three-day conference, international conference. But I'd be happy to send you our manifesto, our 2015 election manifesto, in which we explored 20 areas where the human rights of men and boys in modern-day Britain are assaulted by the state, and that's almost always to privilege women and girls. And I defy you and any of your listeners and to come up with one area where the human rights of women and girls specifically are assaulted by the state.
Do you feel you've got a lot of support? I mean, how many people do you have signed up for the conference?
Well, it's around 200. But yes, there's a lot of support, for us. And it starts.
It's not at this point an overwhelming social movement, is it? Yet
it's not, but it's getting there. And the reason it's getting there, Dan, is that men's rights are getting assaulted more with every year. So, for example, our number one campaigning issue for the last 3 years has been male circumcision of male minors, which is illegal under the Offences Against the Person Act 1861, being ABH and probably GBH. But the state turns a blind eye, whereas the state devotes huge resources,
Interesting.
to FGM.
Very interesting point, that. So I guess your point is, Mike, there's a whole range of social issues. But look, can you just hang on, Mike, because I'm sure you'll want to respond. But we've got on the line now Natalie Collins, who's a gender justice specialist. And Natalie, I believe you disagree with what Mike Buchanan is saying, and in fact, you think Jilly Cooper has a point here.
Well, I mean, I don't know about Jilly Cooper. I absolutely disagree with Mike Buchanan, who managed to get 63 votes in the 2015 general election. So I'm not sure there's a massive social movement behind him, to be fair. I think overall what he's saying is ludicrous. There's a great quote by a feminist called Margaret Atwood, and she said that men are scared that women will laugh at them and women are scared that men will kill them. And I think that sums up this issue of, men being frightened of women. Well, things have changed. Women do have more rights, but that shouldn't be a threat to men. It's only a threat to men because they want to keep their power, isn't it?
But Natalie, that fear surely isn't driving men into relationships with other men. That's not the reason behind the explosion of people coming out of gay.
Course.
That's about a change in society and a more accepting society, which is a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it is a positive thing that people are being able to come out now and being more, that's a really positive thing. And I don't think Jilly's actually talking about the increase in men coming out. She's talking about married men. She's not saying men who are kind of leaving their wives. She's saying married men who are wanting affairs with gay men. And, she hasn't exactly got a very broad kind of evidence base. It's her gay friends who told her.
Well, yes, but Natalie, though, doesn't Mike have a point, though, when he talks about the constant attacks on men these days? And yet, here's another one from Jilly Cooper. Oh, the modern man, they cry too much. They always have beards. Sorry, why should Jilly Cooper be even talking about that? If constantly men are told they should not objectify women and should not comment on the looks of women, why should women be able to make comments about the fact that men choose to have beards? That's a personal choice.
Well, of course, I just think it's, particularly ludicrous. I mean, what's wrong with a man having a beard or men who cry? What's wrong with men crying? I mean, she did actually make a positive comment about men. She said I think a lot of young men I know love their wives and are determined to make their marriages stay. So I think, she wasn't all bad. The reality is that we live in a society where women are still disadvantaged. In Canada last month, there was a guy who, as part of the incel revolution, killed 10 people because he thought that he couldn't get sex with enough women. When we look at the amount of domestic violence, we see that 100 women a year are killed by a partner. The comparison between male circumcision and FGM is absolutely ludicrous. It's female circumcision, female FGM would be likening castration.
Mike, can you respond to that?
Yes, I mean, Natalie's talking through her hat, as always. There's 4 types of female genital mutilation recognised by the World Health Organization, and male genital mutilation is more injurious than 3 of those 4 types. I mean, but at the end of the day, we want.
I mean, Natalie, surely Mike does have a point there. Now, okay, male circumcision is not going to threaten the life, but it's still going to change the life of a young boy.
Of course, I'm not saying, I'm not kind of endorsing male circumcision, but I think it's really important that all your listeners are aware that FGM is a totally different medical practice. In practice, it's horrific in what it does to women in a way that male circumcision just cannot be compared to.
Absolutely rubbish.
Now, Mike, Natalie says that you have no support. You got 63 votes at the general election. Actually, this isn't a social movement. What's your response?
Well, I mean, how do you tell, that a feminist's lying? Her lips move. I got 150 something, but it doesn't matter. It's like all social movements. It has to start somewhere, and the men's rights movement is gathering pace. All the time. People are understanding that feminism is not about gender equality. It never has been. It's always about female privilege.
Mike,
Mike, if I can go back to my point, can I ask now, Natalie? I mean, given that I can name 20 areas where the human rights of men and boys in Britain today are assaulted by the state, I invite her to tell me one area, where the human rights of women and girls specifically are assaulted by the state. One.
Well, we can look at the abortion legislation in Ireland that's only just shifted. You can look at the way that the justice system works. Are you not saying that abortion is an issue?
The right to kill the unborn. That's the one you pull out of the hat.
Is that what this is about? It's about women's bodily autonomy, I would suggest.
I think it's about killing the unborn.
Well, I mean, that's an ideological position, isn't it?
No, it is.
I think the abortion debate is separate to this, Mike. I really think it is. But I do
well, in
think.
That case, ask can Natalie? I go back to the question. Can she name me one area where the human rights of women and girls in Britain today are assaulted by the state?
I think you have to look more. It's a complex picture. The reality is that women do not get
Natalie,
justice.
is no. There are none.
That is
But
no.
Mike, what about the gender pay gap? Come on.
Oh my God, that's been discredited thousands of times.
Really?
Yes.
I'd say right now it's the total opposite, and that's why you see organisations taking action up and down the country.
No, they're doing that because they're being shamed into it. There is no gender pay gap under 40, the age of 40. It appears above that, and that's all to do with women's choices. In fact, there is a small gender pay gap below 40, and that's in favour of women. Now, is Natalie suggesting that's a problem that we need to sort out?
I think there's a quite dubious kind of response to the truth going on overall. I mean, I do have to admit I got it wrong. On Wikipedia, I was looking at the other Justice for Men and Boys candidate. He got 63 votes, and Mike did get 153 out of 47,000. So
well, there you go, Mike. You've got your concession. You've got your concession.
So Sophie Walker, the leader of the Women's Equality Party, lost her deposit against Philip Davis. So what?
Guys, look, I think we're going slightly off topic. I have to be honest, just to wrap up here, Jilly Cooper, okay? Natalie, in your heart of hearts, these are sexist comments, aren't they? You've got to agree with that.
I think I think they are sexist, and that's not okay. I think she hasn't said everything she said about men is not bad in what she said. I think she's a woman of her generation, and that's the reality. But I think that compared to what women are being subjected to in society, I don't think this is kind of evidence that men need to be, getting a protest placard that anytime soon.
Natalie Collins, gender justice specialist, and Mike Buchanan, leader of Justice for Men and Boys, thank you so much for being with us today. Fascinating debate. What do you think? Is Jilly Cooper right about the modern man? Does the modern man simply cry far too much? Simply want to have a bed and then be so frightened of a woman that it's going to cause them to turn to a gay relationships? Rubbish, I say. Utter rubbish. But of course, it does spark this wider gender debate. Who do you agree with? 0344 499 1000, 0344 499 1000. Tweet me at TalkRadio, text TALK, and your message to 87222. We'll hear from you on this subject after the break. Then, in our trending review at 4:30, this fascinating royal imposter who fooled the world's media over the week of Prince Harry and Meghan's wedding. I'll be telling you all about that too, coming up here on Drive.
Talk Radio.